So, hi and welcome to this Gauntlet Hangout run of Shock, social science fiction by Joshua A.C. Newman. It's a game that I've heard a lot about. There's a lot of among indie RPG designers, a lot of people name drop this game as a game they have been inspired by, but I never really heard about anyone playing it. Because I'm way too late to the indie RPG party, of course. So even like when I tried to search for content to look at before the game, I didn't find almost anything except like some really bad Hangouts things that were hanging around. Like this, actually. So yeah, and welcome to all of you. I'm happy to play with you. We have some usual suspects in Ryan and Horst, who has also played Polaris with me last week, and then we have Pat, which I haven't played with before, so I'm excited to play with you all. I'm just gonna get into it. This game is a science fiction genre game, and when it says social science fiction, it means that it's about it's kind of like social issues, pretty much. It's supposed to explore how social issues can, how people can struggle with social issues in different ways. It's also a GM-less game, which means we'll all be a GM full game, I guess, in a way. Here, very literally, as we have some roles in this game, which is like the antagonists. So two of us will be playing the protagonists, who are the people who are fighting the issues that we come up with, and then we have two players who will be playing the antagonists, who are pretty much what the GM usually does and make the protagonists struggle for their goals. So before I won't go so deep into the mechanics of the game. There's quite a bit of meat in this game for being a story game, actually. So I'll take like one step at a time. But the first thing we'll do is to say that this game is, of course, as all Gauntlet games, will use the X-Guard. I'm pretty sure you're all familiar with it, but as either way, I will. If there's anything that comes up during the game that you're uncomfortable with in a bad way, that you don't want to explore, then just X-Guard it. Say, I want to X-Guard this, or do a physical X or X in the chat. And we'll just rewind and do the thing without the thing that you don't want to have. Yeah, and you okay with that? Cool. So, Shock. The first thing we will do is to create the world, and then also come up with the issues that we want to explore. The first thing first, is there any ideas for social issues that we want to explore in this game? So pretty much we'll have two issues that the game centers around, and the characters will center around. So this means that the issue will be the thing that the protagonist fights against, in a way, and the antagonists will represent that thing, that issue. So it's a pretty important choice early on.
I mean, I have an idea. I don't know what you guys think about it, and that is there's the science of longevity, where if you could, flip a switch in the genetic code, people could live for a very, very long time, and that obviously would have impact on the world, because on the one hand, if people wouldn't die but still produce kids, then you have too many people. And the other thing is, if just a small number of people has access to the longevity treatment, then they would form like a godlike caste of people that, you know, exerts power over the rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what recent cyberpunk series was just about that. What?
I was reading Red Mars, like the Mars trilogy, and it's a big thing that.
Yeah. What the other guys think? I've been to that. Altered Carbon was what I was thinking about.
I haven't seen that yet. I keep meaning to watch it, but I haven't seen it. Sounds cool to me.
Yeah, I like the idea as well. One thing that popped in my mind, like with regarding like politics nowadays, is how, you know, the differences in opinions are being pushed to the extremes, especially here in America. You know, you're either all this or all that, and it's like all the middle has like gone away. Like you can't be a part of the middle. You have to be all this or all that. So I don't know if we can play something that touches on that. Like maybe if you are in the middle, like you want compromise that like you don't fit in a way.
Yeah. I'd like to build on that a little bit, because that's also something I am very curious about. To say something about like I don't think it's in opposite to what you're saying, but also that truth doesn't really matter in a way. Like you can say like I am on this extreme and I am on that extreme, and you know what is true between these extremes doesn't matter. Like it's just that this is my opinion.
Yeah, the post-truth world. I'd be down for looking into that.
With a longevity, yeah. Okay, this is interesting.
And maybe we can combine the two concepts, because if you have like a small group of people who would practically live forever, they would be able to influence the rest through, you know, for example, there's the what's it called? Like the idea of to separate and to rule. Is that a divide and
Divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer. So if you are able to influence the public opinion into two extremes that are impossible to talk to each other, you can just rule them, because they won't unite to revolt, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that idea too, because if you live forever, you can make like the smallest movements, and you know, you could put a plan into action that takes, you know, years and years and years, that doesn't need to be immediate.
Yeah, I think I kind of like to expand a little bit on that longevity thing, because it's like I can see there's a lot of issues with it, but it's not the issue itself, right? It's something I'd like it to be more like easier for a character to struggle with it. If you understand what I'm feeling.
Yeah, but I think that, I mean, the core problem would be that that the treatment is not democratized. If that's what, like it is, you have like this super small group of oligarchs who benefit from it because they can plan for a long time.
I think actually, yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, but I think because I had this brilliant, of course, this all fits together. Like the issue is really class divide, and the shock is the longevity treatment. Like what accelerates this issue is the longevity treatment, and I think that fits together well together, like with the post-truth part, which because it's like this kind of. I mean, the class divide and the Trumps of the world, it would be so much more powerful if they could live forever. Are you all feeling me on that, or I'm just bumbling what's going to exactly?
So, like, when you say, what's the difference between? Could you explain the difference between a shock and an issue?
Yeah. So the shock is what makes the issue different from in our own world. Like it's the thing that accelerates the issues, and it's supposed to link up with both of our issues. That's what it makes it sci-fi in a way.
Okay, so I could see longevity as in tying into the class divide as, you know, this small elite group of, we'll call them families, that can live forever, in essence can absolutely, you know, outpopulate any other family because they live forever, right? They'll never die.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess is that what we're looking at here?
Yeah, and also just like they can spend their whole lives, which is forever, to take resources from the like it's the pretty much like the 1% owns everything kind of problem, just with people who live forever, I guess.
Yeah, okay, I can see where you're coming from. Yeah.
Oof, horrible.
But is there any room for like gray stuff? That sounds like very much, there's, I mean, you have the protagonist and the antagonist, and per definition, the protagonist is probably the good guy and the antagonist is the bad guy. But for example, like if I would be able to live forever, then my whole perspective of resources as something that is limited all of a sudden is blown up, because now I have to worry about what will happen in 1,000 years to the planet. Whereas if I'm short-lived, then the immediate survival is more important. Like burning wood, for example, is more important because it gives you warmth than thinking about carbon emissions or something. Like,
and maybe that's the. Oh no, go ahead.
Could the antagonist also have like redeeming qualities? Is my question.
Well, I was gonna say, and I don't know if this is. I don't think this is redeeming, but in my mind, that would be the justification for the class stratification. Is that if they can live forever and they can see that if everybody has access to this longevity, then the planet's just going to burn up. So in order to make sure they have the resources they need, they want to keep the longevity from everyone else. Again, that's not redeeming, but yeah.
Yeah, I could see it as a, issue of morality and ethics versus knowledge. Because if some of these people have lived for a long time, they've gathered a lot of knowledge, they may know what's best for society as a whole, although it might be unethical and immoral. You know what I'm saying? It could be heavy-handed now, but, in the long run, even though it seems evil, looking at it from their point of view, it's not. And I guess
it is actually a discussion among leftist groups who follow who think that China is actually the best example for a system that can plan for a long time. You give up all your freedom, but there's the survival of the planet at least. So I think it makes sense to explore that the justification is not completely insane. It's not. It's not evil. It's just unethical, I guess.
And I think also you could like separate like the longevity thing from like what we think in the West as like the money part in a way. Like it's possible to like I don't know that much about Chinese politics, but it's not like it's in that way you're born into power in the same way. Like it's like it's earned. It still makes a class divide. It's more earned than like if you inherit everything. So I'm
pretty sure in China it's princelings and you inherit the power of your parents. But it could be in our world, could be different.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. We can make it that way to make it less like easy gray, like more gray, I guess. That's at least like a knowledge. If you're good enough, then you can become one of those. It will also be more easy to maintain. I mean, that's the idea behind the capitalism as well, but the illusion is pretty much gone for a lot of people, I guess. But yeah, okay. So I think, yeah.
Sorry, real fast. So is this going to be like a? So it's not so much an inherited wealth sort of thing, but it is like a, I don't know, because they've lived so long and because they have so much knowledge that justifies them being on top. Is that the idea?
We can do that if we want.
I mean, it also you have the platonic idea of like
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
trainers that rule everything because they're super smart. That could be, but I mean, having like a decadent, like the way I think it actually makes sense that could be a development is you have people that are very rich who put money into and resources into studying the thing, and then obviously they would be the first to benefit from it. So I think that's the most realistic way that could play out.
Yeah, sure. I think I'm fine like with the amount of details we have about it now. We're going to have a part of the game where we get to add some facts about the world afterwards as well. I think like I have a good enough idea to continue to proceed with our list of things to do. I don't know if Pat can hear us still, but
yeah, I'm good. I have audio and mic. I had to cut the camera off because I stepped away from the computer.
Good. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is to we will choose an issue that we want to explore. So how I am going to make this, I'm actually still not, after reading the game 2.5 times, not sure exactly how this is supposed to work. But how we're going to do it in this game is we're going to choose an issue which we find interesting, and you either get to be the protagonist or the antagonist that relates to this issue. So is there anyone who has an issue that stands out to them that they want to explore?
And this is different than our previous issue? I mean, is it like, are we following the same process?
We're not making issues now. We're just choosing an issue which will have authority over in a way that will all the characters in the game are centered around one of the issues. So it's like there will be an antagonist and a protagonist that will play against each other. That will, for example, could be along the class divide, and one of the antagonist and protagonist pairing will play around the post-truth world. So we'll have two players focusing on one issue and two players focusing on the other.
I want to be a bad guy again. And I think both issues look super juicy. Like post-truth guy who spins the lies and is maybe some kind of lackey to the immortal rich person. I think post-truth and antagonist for me, please.
And I'm gonna put the owner. So do we have a taker to play the protagonist on the post-truth issue?
I'm kind of leaning towards the antagonist of the class divide side.
I can take it. Can fight. I can feel that fight for the truth. That seems a bit close to home, but so I'll put myself in here. So if you're leaning towards owning the so being the antagonist in the class divide, are you okay with playing the protagonist on the class divide part, right?
Yep, that works for me.
So cool. Yes. Now is the time where we should have fleshed out that a bit. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to your element that you haven't seen? No, I take that as a no. So since we have time, I'm just gonna break in and say, okay, I guess if nobody. So what we do now is to make some characters. So first we'll make the protagonists. We'll come up with a name. We'll choose 3 features. Make 3 features. That's something that's peculiar about them. They don't really have any mechanical effect. What they are, except that if the amount of features you have decide how much dice you have. So if we'll start with 3 features, that means we have 3 dice. Then we'll make 2 relationships. Of course, relationships are expendable. I'll get back to that. And then we'll choose a story goal. So pretty much that's like an arc, what we'll want to get done in this one shot of Shock. That's the first things we're going to do. When we have done that, we will make our antagonists based on the protagonists. I think so. I'm playing in the post-truth. I think I want to play. I don't know, like see how we spread news in this science fiction world. I don't know. It's is there journalists in this world?
Should we come up with like a general setting? Like, are we on Earth?
Sure,
are we in space? Or
yeah, sure. Let's do that.
I mean, we could be on one of these gigantic, I don't know, like space stations around Earth, because everything is so horrible on Earth that it's where the rich congregate.
oh, what about like y'all ever heard of like a generational ship?
Yeah, definitely.
Like something that they send to like a far, system to colonize. It could be like this huge ship with like a huge population.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, I like that. I think my protagonist is going to be like the announcer, like the one who speaks on the speakers in the ship. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. She must have some feature that has something to do with her voice. Let's see. Soft voice. I don't know if that even makes sense in this setting, but let's see. I think she owns a book, and I think that's special. Like she has some kind of I think maybe I don't think inheritance is a thing here in many ways, but I think maybe I want to add, if nobody has any objection about it, that you can like leave one thing for your child. Like there's one object you can leave. It's like, I think this society was supposed to be like opposite to capitalist society in a way, that you don't inherit. But I mean, we all know that it didn't turn out like they wanted. But yeah, because the rich people don't die, so that doesn't really matter. But let's see. I think she has like access to knowledge through like a data terminal or something. So Ryan, do you have any ideas for your class divide protagonist?
I was thinking of something very cliche. If we're on a generational ship, I assume we need somebody to maintain this ship. So I was thinking my protagonist might be just super low level, menial kind of mechanic on the ship. For a name, I'm gonna say she doesn't even have a name. She's got a serial number. So she'll be, I don't know, 001268. And her features, I'm gonna say she, well, she's good with her hands. She maybe problem solver. And I think, although this might be, it's not. I was thinking maybe something like some sort of device with which she kind of something that would be the kind of sci-fi equivalent of a toolbox. I don't know, maybe some sort of like sonic screwdriver kind of thing.
Like a Omni tool from Mass Effect.
That'll work. All right. That works for everybody else.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think Natalia has a relationship with her brother. I think he's called Sergey, and I think he is a private security guy. Like probably, I'm gonna say probably the antagonist, maybe even like at least like one of those people with access to longevity. And I kind of think I'm gonna say Mo, which is a woman. She that makes real food for her sometimes. So do you have an idea for links? 01268? 001268.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to put a decimal point in there to get the zeros to show up. Let's see. So how many links do we need?
2.
To 2? Is that right?
2, yes.
Okay, so let's see. I think sorry, I'm gonna move my mic away from my panting dog. Okay. So that didn't help. So I'm gonna say, I mean, I know we're worried about kind of one of the things about longevity and procreation, but I think maybe I want 001268 to have a daughter. So that'll be one of her links. So I'm gonna put what would her number be? Let's do 00 I don't know, 3, 4, 9, 8. Okay, and then maybe of course over there. Maybe I don't know. How about I'm gonna say this guy gets a name. He'll be Mal, and he's the guy that maintains the Omni tool and the other kind of equipment they use. So I'm gonna say maybe he's I don't know, the head, or maybe their manager, I guess, of her division. Tech manager, maybe. So he's a little further up the chain, so he gets a name. Okay.
Cool. So the next thing is to have make a story goal. So it's gonna be. I was just about to see if I can find some. You can pretty easily see that this is like an early work of story games, which is it's not really structured in the most therapeutic way. But so pretty much a story goal is what you want from your protagonist in the foreseeable future. So during this session we have together, pretty much. You might want to have your protagonist be the emperor of the Western Spiral Arm, or to enter a revolution, or to bear the first human child in 20 years. Yeah, I think Natalia wants to this world immediately makes me think of smaller victories, but I'm gonna say that I think she wants to it's difficult. I think I'm gonna say she wants to make a spark that will start a revolution. I think she wants to open people's eyes in a way. I want to make that a little more concrete, but I think I think I'm gonna say that I want to open people's eyes, because it makes for some possibility for what that's gonna be in the end. And we'll see if that works or not. What is the name of the mothership, by the way? Oh, a generational ship.
I don't know. Maybe like if I don't know if it was a last ditch generational ship, or if they sent out many. Maybe you just call it something like Hope or something like that. To show.
Yeah, just for the sake of, let's call it Hope 2.
Okay.
Okay, so open. Open the eyes. Open. Do you have an idea, Ryan, for your story goal?
I'm actually going to shoot for something much smaller. Well, smaller than opening people's eyes, but probably still not that small. I think that my character wants to try to get her daughter out of the kind of lower rungs of society. Wants her daughter to. I mean, I imagine that our kind of society is very stratified. It's probably very fixed too. So I think she wants to try to game the system or find some sort of backdoor to getting her daughter out of this lower class and moving up towards that upper class somehow. So I guess just, oh, that sounds cheesy, but better life for her daughter.
Yeah, I made mine a little more concrete as well. Start a movement of people that care about the truth. So now we have come to a new thing that we're going to do. That's together. So we're gonna find out what the praxis are in our world. That means how we get things done in this world. We're gonna come up with two pairs of opposites, which are the way you can solve problems. So pretty much the examples in the books is here, for example, what was it? Confrontation versus deception, terror versus seduction. So pretty much we'll have, do I need to explain more, or do you understand what I'm saying? So pretty much it's like a scale of opposites in which you can solve problems.
Would it be like deception and truth or something? Or does it have to be a verb or a noun?
I think verbs are probably a good start. I don't know how, but I'm not like locked to it. I imagine it would probably be verbs in most cases. So I was thinking like for this world, deception versus like violence could be a thing, or maybe a coherence or some, I don't know. Like I don't think truth is a thing that you really, is it?
How about like something along the lines of like an adverb, like doing it alone versus doing it with help? Is that something that could fit in a praxis?
Sure. I don't see any reason why, as the first time player, why it wouldn't work, at least. If you want to do that.
I mean, the praxis is tied to the issues. Seems like it.
Yeah, let's see what it says here. So I don't. I think like it is in a way. It's supposed to be linked to the world we created. Like it's to derive from that. Let's see here. Blah blah blah. Here is the praxis. What it says. Praxis. Yeah, you can determine how things get done in this world. These ways of getting things done are called praxis and are represented by two opposed pair of opposites shared by all antagonists in the story. Yeah, look at your features, shocks, issues, and links. How do they suggest that things are done? For instance, are there weapons listed? Maybe things are done with violence. Are there political contacts listed? Maybe things are done through negotiation. If an issue is income disparity, maybe the things are done by commerce. So we have like some pointers here through like the kind of knowledge, or like the hierarchy is not through money, but through like at least perceived knowledge, or like intelligence, I guess, in a way. I don't know.
I mean, the two what's the plural of praxis? Practices. I see is like spreading knowledge, and I don't know, either keeping knowledge for yourself or spreading lies, spreading truth or spreading lies. and or it could be democratizing knowledge versus keeping knowledge for yourself.
But I think it needs to more specifically involve like how you would solve a issue, like a situation.
Yeah, I could see something like being
like more like an approach.
Convince or coerce could be a thing, for example, or like you could do something like even like convince or lie, I guess, or like I don't know. No, that doesn't fit. It's not opposites, but like convince or coerce, for example. You could have I don't know.
But how does a conflict work? So let's say I'm playing some kind of a spin doctor, and you're playing the revolutionary, and you want the truth out, and I want to put a blindfold over people's eyes.
Yeah, I guess maybe like convince or confuse maybe.
Yeah,
is a good practice.
But it's not that as an antagonist, I could go for one extreme rather than the other. I have to be the one who wants to confuse, obviously.
You don't have to. We will all like. So how the conflicts are solved is that you will have a number which makes you lean the one or the other way, and the way you're leaning make you better at a certain thing. You can do both if you want. So everyone can do all the 4 actions, but of course you will be better at one. You can play that in different ways. Like you could, if you fail, like if the protagonists fail, they get another feature which makes it easier to succeed later. So that could be a way you wanted to if you wanted to play it like that. But yeah, but I think like I would be happy to take convince or confuse, because it seems to fit pretty okay, and then we also have another one. So
yeah, the way I read it was, it's like an approach to something. Like you could pick violence or negotiation. Do you try to talk your way out or do you fight your way out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is violence like a thing that is very prevalent on the ship?
I would think not. I think it'd be like taboo. Violence would be taboo considering it's a generational ship.
What would be like the opposition to but yeah, maybe we should take something like that's a little different from the other praxis for the second one. So like the examples here, they were like we can. I guess this is the difficult part of the character creation. We just found out. So yeah, the examples there were terror versus seduction, confrontation versus deception. Let's see, is there any more? So, yes, let's see.
I think terror and seduction, maybe phrased differently, could work for us as well, because you have the potential revolutionaries, and they could use seduction to say, this is the utopia that we can achieve, and they can use violence. They can terrorize and say, we're all doomed and we live in chains for all eternity. And then the other side could use the same things. The seduction could be like a lottery, or like the promise of becoming an immortal, versus terrorizing and saying, if the immortals don't rule, we are all doomed because we have the knowledge. Something like that.
How about like science and morality as opposite ends?
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, sure. I'm prepared to go with that. I like that how they are opposite. I'm not sure that it's the perfect wording, but I'm fine with that as for a one shot. Like I like the idea is exactly spot on, I think. Science versus morality. So this is probably pretty much like what you apply, what you like, how you address people in convincing them to things. Like, is it the truth, or is it like the, oh no, we have this system, you have to adhere to this system because that's how things work, kind of, right? Or how
But what I was
you think?
imagining is like, do it because it's the right thing to do, or do it because the numbers say that's the best thing to do, versus, what your heart may tell you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so kind of like maybe like seduction versus reason.
Emotions versus reason.
I like that one. Emotions versus reason.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. So now we have our both our practices. I think I'm going to say we're happy with that. Did you get to let your dog out, Ryan?
Yeah, he's outside right now.
Good. We're gonna do the character creation done, and then we're gonna take a 10-minute break. We're getting to the end here now. So the next thing it says we should do is like the protagonist should give like some story seeds for the antagonist. I think I'm gonna say that we're going to do that together. As we're yeah, it makes more sense to me.
So I'm thinking about like either some kind of social democratic person that says like that, like which is in between, which maybe doesn't fit the truth versus lie dichotomy. But what I'm thinking is somebody who's promising, like social change, but always within the system that's already there, which is, there will always be the very small strata, and this person, this social democrat, is trying to, I don't know, like seduce people to not go full-blown revolutionary. That would be one idea.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like maybe it being, because I'd like it to be someone that is involved with what Natalia is doing. I mean, I had like this idea about it being like the guy who comes up with the propaganda that she says on the speaker or something like that, or one of the people that are doing that. Do you have anything you want to like add or subtract from that, or you don't like it at all, or what do you think?
No, I do like it. So the other idea would be in some kind of propaganda person, but I thought it would be a bit too blunt. Like you want to persuade people with sweet lies rather than saying we all work together for the glorious goal or something.
Mm-hmm.
So having like the illusion of different parties, because we have the idea of post-truth, so that you want to spread diversion between groups, and that doesn't really work with like one central propaganda spokesperson. There should be some kind of party dynamics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
Because maybe maybe the protagonist is, the speaker of one radio station of, let's say, the conservatives, and then there's the other radio station for the social democrats or whatever, and we can call them differently, and in reality there's like the higher level where they just fabricate the stories that are discussed.
Yeah. Actually, now when you say it, I'm kind of thinking of like the people who work in like the Russian like fake news spreaders.
Yeah,
a little bit. Like maybe it's not really like the announcer voice. Maybe it's just like someone who is working on like the putting things like online. Because I mean, we have internet, I'm sure. Like there is. Maybe it's not really that literal in the being the announcer, but being like a writer or something.
Yeah, let's take like 1 minute to talk about what kind of media is there. I mean, is it like social media that we have now, or is it more like, I don't know, in the 60s that radio or newspaper is the main thing?
That's what I was imagining, even though we were talking about an intergenerational ship. I was imagining kind of like this early 20th century idea of what that would be. So, but that's what I was thinking.
I'm fine with that. If we want to do that.
I kind of like the idea of like it being a generational ship. Like it's got, it's like a huge ship with millions of people on it. But like each sector has like, like their common areas where word travels by mouth. And then that news gets transferred to other areas through like maybe, letters or,
Or some
blog
kind of
post or whatever.
that flies through the ship. Like I was playing like a game lately where the information was spread by some kind of pollen that was sent with the winds.
What if we had like pneumatic tubes that sent things from one part of the ship to the other? I don't know.
Very Terra Gilliam's Brazil-like.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that. I like that. Pneumatic tubes. Like each sector has pneumatic tubes that go to every other sector. So like half of the ship is made up of nothing but pneumatic tubes.
Yeah, I like that. I think like that makes my protagonist in my head like a street announcer or something, like the person who takes like these tubes and like read them out in the street, which can be any like kind of news. I think that makes sense. Like it's not really even different news outlets. It's the same news outlet saying completely different things.
Right.
Like make no sense. So yeah, cool. Who is the antagonist? Is it yeah?
Yeah, wouldn't it be the person who writes what Natalia has to read, what to read out?
Yeah, sure. What's that person's name?
Say Yuri.
Mm-hmm. Of course he is.
And so does he get also 3 traits? No.
Not really. What you get is to establish things about what organization he is a part of and stuff. I'm gonna say your issue is post-truth. The post-truth thing. Let's see. Yeah, post-truth world.
Yeah, causing division, spreading lies. Like I like the idea of this fake rivalry with another announcer, so that you have to say white and the others have to say black. And then the next week it's just changed, like in 1984. Like we were always against white. And now
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I so what you get to do is to add some. That's another thing for the glossary. It's like a minuta, which is like a truth about the world. So now you get like to add some truth about the organization and what about the world that Yuri is a part of. Do you have any like ideas that you want to? Like, what kind of organization is he a part of?
Yeah, I still like classic party politics. So he is part of the party is called Party for Social Equality.
Mm-hmm. You can add that under Minuta on the antagonist sheet.
Yeah.
Also, I'm gonna explain like what these credits that stand there. That is what the antagonist use to get dice. So pretty much like the protagonist, they will use get dice based on their features, but the antagonist they can bid dice with their credits. So and when you have 5 credits left or less, then you have to like go for the final push. And that's when the story will be over. Either that or when it's natural, but it's probably going to be that, I'm guessing. You can think about some things to add while we go through the other protagonist. Antagonist, I mean. Oh, mixing up, good. So, Pat, your antagonist.
I'll say her name is Tinarta, like Tinarta. And I imagine she's like the head of some kind of like workers union. And like her issues class divide. So like maybe she's like real convincing about, you need to have this class divide because you can't let, the people that live forever that are the elite is such a small group have to try to take care of all this stuff on their own because they're going to fail. You need these people down here that know what they're doing with like the machinery and all the inner workings of the ship to keep it going. Like it's important to keep it going. So that's how I'm imagining the antagonist.
Yeah.
I think too, if we're doing kind of the Platonic philosopher king thing, the flip side of that is that the workers need the people on top to kind of make sure the ship, all of the important, whatever they do, we need them to do it. Just like the rhetoric is, they need the workers.
Yeah, like I think, I don't know how this fits in with the minutia, like how stuff works on the ship, or like perhaps like the main crew of the ship, like the captain and the navigator and the people actually like saying where this thing is going, is actually run by people that live forever. So like they're not generational, like they're gonna be there. They were there from the start of the trip and are gonna be there at the end of the trip when it arrives, no matter how many thousands of years it takes to get there. Like perhaps that's why the lower class needs that elite upper class, because they're the ones actually in charge of the ship itself, getting to a place.
Yeah, this really reminds me of, it's a movie called Snowpiercer, I think. Like with the train where there's like class. Yeah, yeah, maybe it makes sense that, I don't know, I'm just gonna suggest that maybe it's like because this is a little bit like, I have a problem with workers in Norway. We have a lot of workers unions, and I have a little bit of a problem with them being very much like we need to continue to work for the betterment of the rights within the system that is broken, which I imagine also could be like a thing here. Like we want to have one more person who gets to live forever from the workers every year. Like that's what they're working for. Not really like, I mean, there would be no problem to just make it better for everyone, but that's not what we're doing. Cool.
Just thought if there was like they're trying to get a lottery so that one person can get out of that lower class and into that upper class. Yeah. I don't know why that's just, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Are we going to make that a thing in the world, like the lottery?
Yeah, we can. Like maybe there's a nominee from each sector that goes in, and then out of those nominees, one person gets to go to the upper class, which nobody ever sees because they stay on the bridge.
Oh man.
Well, and also if we're drawing off that kind of Platonic idea, the lottery was always fixed because you couldn't have accident determining what happened in the hierarchy. You had to have it. So whoever's at the top decides who's going to win the lottery before it ever actually happens.
Yeah, of course, because the lottery makes no sense in the world we have built here.
I mean, we could also tie it to to Natalia, that she maybe it's not like a pure lottery, but like every day or every week there's the announcement of the next percentage that go through to the next round. So maybe it's like it plays in with it's like a sports thing, but completely random or fixed.
Yes. Oh man, yeah, I like that a lot. Oh, so horrible. What is the world we come up with? Even worse than this one. Cool. Do you have anything else you want to add, like right away? You can do, like at any point during the game, a player can add like a minute and write it down if they want. So don't worry if you don't like have everything down now. Do you have anything you want to write down as well, host?
Not right away.
Cool. I think then I'm gonna give us a little break. So we can be back at like say 25. You good with that? Cool. See you in a bit then. Yes. So you're all back. The last thing we need to do is to assign values to our praxis things. So what you'll see is it's going to be, in total, the sum of them should be 10. And as you've seen on like my character here, I put 7. Well, the number here is supposed to be 7, actually, now that I think of it. So, and that means, no, actually it's not now. So 3. So how this works now, I put the that means that I am bordering towards like convince. That means that when I roll, we roll d10s for conflict, for like a resolution here, and I have to roll over 3 to succeed. If I use convince, if I use confuse, I have to roll under 3. So in addition, there is, but I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go back to that afterwards. There is some other things in the conflict resolution, but for now, just put some values in these 2 praxis grids. So I'm gonna also take 7 in the other one, and that's this. Yeah, that means that I have to roll over 7 with emotion and then under 7 with reason. So I'm better in reason and better in convincing. And it has to be a minimum of, you have to have a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 8. That's how I understood it.
But I mean, if it does look a bit like, I don't know, Lasers and Feelings or 316 or something.
Yes.
But is it linked to both things? No. It's like I can have, let's say, a 2 in confuse, which would make it an 8 in convince, but I could have a different spread, like 7 and 3 for emotional reason.
It's one number, so they're linked. Like it is on a scale of 10, and then you roll over the one on the top and under the one on the bottom. Yeah. On the scale, so you have one number.
Both scales are not unrelated, so yes. I could have 6-4 and 7-3 or something.
Yeah. The 2 praxis scales are unrelated. So the convinced, confuse, and the emotion reason are not related. But the convince and confuse is related, and the emotion and reason is related. Are we? Are you still with me?
Yeah.
Good. Thanks. Awesome. Because I am also with me a little bit.
So we only have one number for each. So you'll have 2 numbers total, is what you're saying?
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
And those 2 numbers need to equal 10.
Yes. Well, no, those 2 numbers does not need to equal 10, but the scale is to 10.
Okay. So, for example, I put 6 in convince. Does that mean I have to roll over 6 to convince and then under to confuse?
Yes. Yes. Over 6 to convince and under 6 to confuse, yes.
All right. So, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, this is a good example of what, like, a symptom of being early tech. I think it's a little bit confusing, this.
Right. And you said the lowest number could be 3, right?
Yes.
Oh.
So now that, so yeah, and you roll the d10 for that. So how this conflict resolution work, I just think I'm going to do that now, is that you have a number of dice. If you're the protagonist, you have a number of dice equal to the amount of features you have. So 3 from the start. you can choose to how many of those dice you want to use on trying to succeed as best as you can, or to hinder the other person you're in a conflict with. So for the succeeding yourself, you roll the d10s, and for hindering the other ones, you roll a d4. So the d10s, I guess they're pretty self-explanatory. The best result for you in succeeding with your task is you choose between the d10s you roll, and for the d4s you add them or subtract them depending on which side of the praxis spectrum the other character is rolling. As you can understand from that, that means that the intent of your characters in a conflict can't be mutually exclusive. So you can you'll both have intents that you roll to succeed, and both of them can happen or none of them can happen. So you don't roll like there's two separate things going on. You're trying to hinder what the other person is doing, and you're trying to succeed yourself. You understand? And that's pretty much how the conflict resolution works in the game. So, and every scene has to have a conflict. And that's pretty much it. We'll set scenes, go to somewhere where there is a conflict, resolve the conflict, and then go to the next scene.
So what does the exact number mean? Like if you roll a 3 or a 4, whatever your number is.
I'm glad you asked. Because when you do that, it means that the conflict escalates. When the conflict escalates, the other person you're in conflict with gets to say a thing that can happen if you fail. And then you roll your d10s again, like the one who got the exact number, and the other player rolls their d4 to hinder. And then like the intent of the task that the person who rolled the exact number is still in play, but there's also an added consequence if they fail that the opposition gets to define. When we get to that, I will get into the explanation of that again, but pretty much it just means there is more consequences. Then it's more consequences than just failing and the other succeeding. You get an added consequence that the other person gets to define.
Yeah, let's see it in the game. I think I'm too stupid to understand like these abstract things.
Yeah. It's also a little bit wonky, but yeah. So basically, I will get to it when we get to a conflict, and if you have questions, just fire away. I think I understand this good enough to be able to explain like what you're supposed to do at what time. So pretty much, now we are ready to play actually. So what we'll do is that the protagonist actually the antagonist, they kind of set the scene by asking the protagonist that they're opposite to. So what are you doing now? Then the antagonist, now the protagonist will like explain what they are doing now. It's supposed to be, it says in the book, a static scene. So there's not really, but they're doing something probably towards their issue or whatever. And then the antagonist can introduce things that disturb it. And pretty much that will become like a conflict, and you get it pretty much.
So what do you do?
I think it's at the bar, and Natalia is talking with some friends, drinking some. I think it's like it's called beer. I don't think it's really. I'm not sure if you would call it that quality in this kind of. It's a shady establishment with bad beer. Let's just say it like that. And I think there is one of these tube posts that comes, and the barkeep is like calling for Natalia to get it. So what does the tube post say, Yuri?
I think this one like announces the new the new winners to get to the next round. Is one item that everybody's interested in. And then another item is that, unfortunately, let me see. So the tube information is already spinned by my, for example, my antagonist or by someone. So what they want is there's the rumor that the reason why we have a little bit of a rationing of food and a watering down of beer, because the other sector gets a little bit more. They siphoned it off. That's another thing that you know of is completely fabricated.
Yeah, and I think like there is a guy. I think maybe it's. Let's see. I think maybe it is my brother, Sergey. He is. I think it's. He's sitting next to me drinking like beer, and I'm going to. Maybe he works for Yuri actually. And I like read the thing, and I like look over at him, and say like, wait, water? Do they get the water there? And I think like he like just like shrugs and says like, ask Yuri. And I think probably like later, like I think how this is going to be is that actually you play. I mean, I'm just going to ask a question into the room now. Like, would it make sense for the people who play the antagonist to play like the like different NPCs as well that represent like the opposition?
I mean, it could be. I think it would be totally fine in this case that Yuri is just there at the bar. But what are the others thinking? Like, is the antagonist just like a placeholder for everything that opposes the protagonist?
Yeah, I could see it. Like, I mean, society in general, right? And if you're pushing against change in society, society pushes back whether, protagonist wants it or not.
Yeah, I think that makes sense as well, because it would be difficult to put the antagonist person into every scene, like at the start. Or do you, if you want to insert yourself in it? I'm just asking because this doesn't actually get mentioned in the book, and I didn't really think about it.
I would argue that this is the core, conflict, and it makes sense to, if it's like a television series, then obviously the protagonist and the antagonist will have the most important scenes.
Cool, thanks. I'm gonna just. I think I'm just gonna turn over to Yuri and say. No. I mean to Sergey and say, man, it's not. What? You were just there. I saw you when I was announcing the news in that neighborhood. I mean, Sector 2. Do they really have less water?
And I think Yuri shrugs and says, these suckers, everything's bad comes from Sector 2. You know that.
Yeah, and I think Natalia turns to, because it's Sergey she's talking to, like her brother. Yeah. She says, man, why are you? Do you even believe that?
Is your intent here to convince Sergey to see the truth, or is it just, are you actually confused?
No, I'm still not trying to convince him, but I'm like testing the waters.
Look at the facts. I mean, we played soccer with the suckers from 2, and they had better shoes. The goalkeeper was, I think, he was genetically modified. He kept all the balls out of the goal. So, yeah, I think so. I mean, do you listen to the stuff that you're reading? Everything points at them.
Yeah, and I think like Natalia like takes I think like chugs the rest of her beer and is like, Sergey, fuck, are you just because you work for him doesn't mean that you have to believe everything he says. Come on, come with me and visit Sector 2 and see for yourself. Fuck this bar, just come with me. And now my intent is definitely to like make him. I want to make him come with me to actually show him that it's not true.
Okay, I think it was a long work day. He's enjoying himself at the bar, drinking the very watery beer, and he's not going to do it unless you're very convincing. So his intent is. Does it have to be opposing?
It can't be.
It can't be opposing. So
not mutually exclusive.
Okay. Oh, I see. It's like what's it called? Ghost something. So what he wants is for you to, like, he's saying, man, can't you just enjoy life, have a beer? So his intent is to persuade you to enjoy life. So you could still talk about poetry or football or anything. And you could still go, he could still join you, but he's wanting you to don't be a fanatic. Don't look for the truth. Just enjoy life.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to challenge you to make it a little more concrete. That's something I can do right now.
Get drunk.
Yeah, cool. I'm happy with that. Yeah. So I'm gonna link the dice roll again because I don't think Pat was in the room when I linked it. Here. So I have how many? I have my 3 dice. I'm gonna use. Well, I don't actually think I mind being drunk. So I'm gonna. Well, that much. I'm gonna use 2 of my dice on the d10s and 1 to hinder you get me drunk. And you have, how many credits do you want to use? You have a 12 at the moment. You have to use between 3 and, was it 6 that I had there? Between 3 and 6, yeah.
Let's do 4.
Cool. How many are you using on each?
So I don't want to go. So the let's see. So we have 2 conflicts, just to get it straight. And he doesn't want to join you. So that's the 1 conflict, and I would like to put 3 in there.
Yeah, and also that's a rule. You always have to use 1 d10 on your conflict. So that's still fine. I just wanted to say it.
Yeah.
So 1 on getting me drunk then.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, real quick, I got a question. Just so I can, because I'm kind of jumbled on this.
Me too.
So what's the what's the intent from the protagonist, Natalia?
It's to convince my brother Sergey to come to District 2 to see for himself that what he's saying is not true.
Okay, and then the antagonist is just to get drunk, for you to get drunk and forget about it?
No, to get the main intent of the antagonist is to get her drunk. And the reason behind it is so that she's not as, politically, I don't know, engaged in the subject, that she lets go and is, more easygoing and enjoying life.
Okay, and so when you roll, you're separating your dice between those two conflicts.
Yes.
Okay,
so
just making sure I get that. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. It's fine to use a little time on this first one so we can understand what's going on. So pretty much, the thing I'm thinking that I'm doing here is to convince, and so I'm gonna on my D10 try to roll over 3. Yes.
Okay.
And which one are you using?
I think I'm using emotion. Is that possible?
Sure.
I appeal for your, I don't know.
Yeah. So maybe getting drunk with your brother. Yeah, I mean,
and forget about the politics.
Yeah. So you also try to roll over 4. So our D4s will then be subtracted from that result. The best D4 will be subtracted.
Okay.
That's what the D4 is. You're hindering. You understand? You're all with me?
Yeah, I'm hindering your
convincing of you to come with me.
Exactly.
With your D4.
And do I do that now?
Yes. So you roll the 3 D4s and the 1 D10. Oh no.
So
I also
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, you rolled at the same time?
Yes.
And with the same colors. That makes no sense.
Yes. I was just like, oh no. Okay, I guess we're gonna
So I name myself and pick another color, okay?
Yeah. Oh no. I was like, I rolled a 10, I'm pretty sure, and I screwed it up for myself. Damn. I'm gonna do yellow now. Let's see.
Yeah, I do blue.
Yeah, so I rolled maximum awesome.
So I hinder with 4, I think.
Yeah, I hinder with 4 too, so that means that you get 3, and I get a 6. But I still get 6 on my convince roll, so I succeed.
So he joins you, and you don't get drunk?
Yes. What a roller, man! I'm such a good role player. Yeah, I think like she says like, man, I mean, if you write, I'll drink, okay? If you write. Now come with me. They have better beer there anyway. The one thing you're right about is that they have actually better beer, not better shoes, but better beer. But that's only because they know how to brew stuff. And this joint,
I mean, I agree on that. This joint is just crap.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And I think like we'll end the scene there, and it's implied that that actually my brother believes me, I think, after like seeing that they have just as little water there. So now we go to the next antagonist-protagonist duo. Do you have any questions before?
No, I think I have a general idea what's going on. I think as we play more scenes, it'll make more sense.
Yeah.
So 6-8, what are you doing?
So I think 6-8 is she's intent on finding a way to make sure that her daughter wins the next lottery. And at this point, she thinks she's willing to do anything she has to. She is, let's say that she's also in the bar in her sector. And she's trying to find somebody that will let's say the winners, their name is not called, but they have a number that's called. And so she's trying to ask around to find who won the latest round so she can see if they'll swap numbers with her daughter. So she's in the bar right now, trying to figure out who's won. So she's kind of asking around.
So yeah, like most people like really don't remember, because when the announcements went out on whose number got called, maybe like, family and maybe close associates with that person remember, but most people like, realize, oh, it wasn't my number, whatever. It's kind of like trying to remember like a regular lottery number. If you bought a lottery ticket, you didn't win, you don't remember those numbers. So like, yeah, you're having a lot of trouble, trying to get anybody to talk to you, because everybody's like, who remembers the damn numbers? Why don't you go find the announcer?
So, so she's talking to, let's say she's talking to the bartender right now, and she asks around. Let's say that she offers up to the bartender to look, if you can point me towards who was in the room when the numbers were called. I'll do some odd jobs around here for free. Just point me towards where I need to go.
Oh, what kind of jobs? What can you do?
Well, I'm a mechanic here on the ship. Look, I can, I won't check my Omni tool back in. I'll make sure I just keep it out. And if you need something fixed around here, I can fix it.
Well, those Omni tools aren't easy to come by. I mean, those are specifically handed out to the maintenance. You have your Omni tool on you right now?
Not right now, but I can get it.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what. You give me your Omni tool, then I'll put you in direct contact with the announcer, who probably still has a copy of the sheet with all the numbers of the winners.
So you want me to give you my Omni tool?
That's correct.
Just for the numbers. Not even the numbers, just the announcer.
Yeah. I'll make sure that announcer has what you need, though.
Yeah. That's the only bargaining chip I've got. I don't think I can give that over right now. Look, surely you can put me to work, right?
I mean, there's stuff you can do. I mean, don't get me wrong. You know what you can do, but you got to keep it on the hush hush. And the bartender kind of pulls you over to the side. I tell you what, if you could rig me a pipe into the pneumatics to where I'll get the messages before they reach the announcer, could you do that for me? Might be a little bit illegal.
No, I think I think, and she leans in. I think I can do that.
Okay, so yeah, if you, I mean,
sorry.
I don't know if we're at a conflict here yet.
I know it sounds like we've resolved the conflict without rolling.
Trying to figure out how we could push this towards a conflict.
I mean, maybe someone overheard you're gonna use your Omni tool for something. I don't know. Maybe a person from the union. I mean, it's strictly regulated to where you use the Omni tool. It's someone else's job to fix the beer pipes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, we could do that. We could say like, so like you make this agreement with the bartender, and somebody else sitting right there at the bar happens to overhear you, and says, that goes against not only sector regulations but ship regulations, right?
Hey, buddy, mind your own business.
Hey, it's out here in the open. It's everybody's business. Look, if you don't want me to go tell the fuzz outside about what you're getting ready to do, you better make it worth my while.
And so 6'8" looks at the bartender, and then looks back at the guy and, all right, look, what do you want me to do for you?
Oh, you don't have to do anything for me, but whatever that bartender is giving you, I want in. I want half.
I think this is a good place to reveal intentions before you resolve it again.
Yeah. So 6'8" does not have anything to give, and she certainly doesn't want to give anything to this guy because who knows who's going to hear the next conversation and want something more. So her intention, and of course, I guess even though it's not I didn't set up my stats very well, I guess I'm going to try to confuse this guy, which is going to be a fun roll. But I'm going to try to confuse this guy in the sense that I'm going to, whatever we agree to, I'm going to try to get him to think that I'm going to pay off, even though I'm not. So I'm basically going to deceive him. Yeah. So that's my attempt here.
All right. So the antagonist intent is to, I think the antagonist intent is to actually tell on you. And if you're going to pay them off anyways, they're not going to tell on you, but that's what their intent is.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, those are mutually exclusive. It's like pay off, not pay off, and tell or don't tell. I mean, right. You could not pay off and don't tell if he has sympathy for you or something. That's fine.
Okay.
Which of the praxis are you using for your antagonist? And how many credits are you using?
I'll go with, I'll go with 4. I'll go with 4 credits. Mm-hmm. And I think this is more of a convince than a reason or an emotion. So I would have to roll above 3.
Yeah. And let's see. 001268 needs to. You were going with the confused, so you need to roll under a 4.
Yep.
And how many dice are you using on what, both of you? I mean, you don't have to say that, but well, actually, you can say it, I guess. Good, say it.
Yeah, I think the antagonist would use more for the you paying up over him actually telling on you. So I would say 3 to hinder you, and then 1 to actually tell on you.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a clarification, it is about fixing the pneumatic tubes so that the information can get altered. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, that's what the bartender wanted, but that's not what this conflict is about. It's more about what this guy that may tell on her or you know.
But I assume that if he tells about it, then they would know that it is manipulated.
Right.
Because I think that it somehow has to be tied to the main conflict in, you know, bridging the class divide or whatever.
Cool. You can roll the dice, and remember to have different colors.
All right, I'll use green.
I'm
So
gonna use red.
You roll d10s for the dice that you use on your own conflict if you succeed, and d4s for the ones to hinder.
And I've got 3 that I can roll. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And Horst, I also deducted 4 credits for.
Oops, I rolled a d12.
It would be typical of the man to have a d12.
Oh, wow. Didn't expect that.
Yeah. So you got the highest d4 you got was a 4, so you add 4 to 001 result. So that means that they still fail.
So the 4 is not subtracting from the antagonist, the d4.
Well, so how this works is that depending on which side of the praxis you're using, it adds or subtracts. So you're going under, right? So that means it adds.
Ah.
Okay, so yeah, but your d4, Ryan, does subtract from mine because I was trying to roll over.
Okay.
So that makes mine exactly 3, which is my number. Does that matter, or is it just on the die roll?
It matters. It's after the subtraction and detraction. It matters. So that means that's the one with the telling, right?
Yeah, to tell on 6-8.
Yeah, so that means the conflict escalates. So how does that look when this guy threatens to tell on you? This is difficult to remember this name, 001268.
Yeah, I think we've just been calling her 6-8 for short.
6-8 for short.
Yeah.
So when this guy is threatening to tell on you, what do you do? So what are you doing to what is the consequence? What will happen if he fails this?
So what will happen if he tells on 6-8?
I mean, how does this look like when this, because I imagine this being like, oh, you're telling on me, right? So I mean, this could be like, I'm gonna oysterize him, I'm gonna kick his ass, I'm gonna whatever, like he's gonna be beaten to a pulp. I don't know. It can be a lot of things. Like the consequence that you add, and like how does that look in the scene?
Well, I think if 6-8 is afraid that he's gonna rat me and the bartender out, I'm gonna turn to the bartender and try to get his help in making sure this guy doesn't rat us out.
Mm-hmm.
Since if we get ratted out, we both go down. So
yeah, and I think like the barkeep probably like whistles and there's like, and suddenly there's some you can see some people moving from like the edges of the bar towards the guy besides you, who's probably like, he also is probably like a worker guy, and he like and I think like the consequence is probably that he's going to be caught up by these guys, or what? That's how I understand you, Ryan, right?
Yeah, that's what I was shooting for, was to get the bartender to do something to help out and make sure I didn't get ratted on. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So getting hauled away works perfectly fine.
Yeah. So that means that you roll your d4s again, Ryan, and you roll your d10 again, Pat. And if you fail, like he'll get rounded up by these guys.
Okay, so is that like declaring a new intent? Like
it's not a new intent. Intent is still in play. It's the same intent. It's just like another added consequence.
Gotcha.
So I'm just re-rolling the d4s.
Yes.
Okay. There we go. Oh. So
That would make it a 3 again,
plus-
or 4 actually.
Yeah.
So does that mean the guy succeeds in getting away from these and telling?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, yeah, perhaps they grab this guy, but he's like real slippery and like slips underneath them and kind of disappears into the crowd that's kind of like come to like we kind of watched as like this argument kind of got loud. And he slips away. I mean, is that like the end of the scene, like you knowing that this guy knows?
Yeah, and I think the barkeep like says to 6-8 like, mother, dad, God damn it, he got away. You have to pay him. Like you got to make sure he can't. Like, and we all know that he's gonna tell on us, but you have to pay him. If you don't pay him, and like the guys are around you now, so.
So she looks around, fuck, and off through the crowd.
Yeah, that sounds like a scene.
Yeah, that was pretty bad for 6-8.
For 6-8. So one thing that I forgot, but we'll add it in the next round, is that the audience who are not participating in the scene can also roll dice, a d4, 1d4, and add it to the side of the conflict that they prefer, if they want to.
Oh, so like on this next scene, like me and Ryan could say, "Oh, we want, the antagonist to win, or we want the protagonist to win."
Yeah.
Okay.
And by adding like a detail to the role, so you add a minutia, and add a die. So you also have to add something to the role, like a fact about the role that makes this more difficult, or less difficult, or whatever. More difficult, okay. I guess, for both results.
So
okay,
I got a quick question about, because I got a little confused on how the die roll actually worked out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to roll
under
4 on my D10, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And I did.
Yes, but
and so my intent was
on my hinder I had a 4, so it added to your 2. So it ended up not being under.
Okay, and then my D4 took yours down to the 3.
It escalated.
Rolled again.
Yeah, it escalated. We rolled again, and I got a 4. Which
and so it escalated because
you landed on the exact number of your.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, now we explored the full conflict system, so that's good. Okay, so we rotate scenes again.
What are you doing?
I think that Natalia has convinced Sergei to take her to the office of Yuri. And I think actually like she is I think she is it's like late at night. How does like the office of like the office building of Yuri look? Or like I don't know if it's even a building. It's a pretty big ship, so maybe like, I don't know, structure.
Yeah, I think it's like the Apple design. It's white. It has almost organic forms, so slight curves.
Mm-hmm.
And the glass and white kind of plastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is probably like do you have a name for the people who live that has the longevity?
I was thinking, yeah, I mean, the Immortals could work. The first 100 or something, because they, this is already like the 20th generation or something.
Yeah, I like them being like the 100. If you're on board with that, like, because I don't think they like to promote the idea that they were the first 100.
Immortals already sounds a bit too sinister for the idea to be attractive. Yeah, the 100.
So this is probably like the district where the 100 live and work for the most part. Looks much more clean like than everywhere else. She gets locked into the office of Sergei, and she starts looking around for any proof that the lottery is fake. I think, walking up to the terminal where I don't know. I'm gonna ask one of the if anyone of the two audience members for this round has any suggestions to how does it look where the news pipes kind of get made. You muted, Pat.
What do you mean? Like, where they actually make the pneumatic pipes, or where they're making the news itself?
The messages, I guess.
I mean, it could be whatever makes sense. What makes sense to you that it's in the office of Yuri? Is it does he make the pipes himself, or is it just like a writing desk?
Yeah, I imagine the desk that he was, although with this kind of Apple Store setting, I was going to say like a old oily typewriter, but with this kind of Apple Store setting, I imagine something completely different now.
The oily stuff is for the normal people. The 100 has they have the shiny stuff.
Yeah, I like to imagine like the writers that get to send out these messages have like the one entryway to the pipes that sends them out to all the different sectors, and it's like locked behind this, kind of like in a safe type place, where they got to have a code to open up the entrances to the pipe, so they're the only ones sending messages. Like it's one way.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so maybe you also see like the safe door behind the desk to like where you send the pipes. And I think Natalia like goes over the desk and my intent here is to find incriminating evidence that will make it clear for everyone that this lottery is just a hoax, and the 100 has been the same 100 all along.
And is Sergei with you, or is Yuri somewhere around?
I mean, you're the antagonist. I was intending that you had an opportunity for Sergei to actually show up here.
You mean Yuri, the real?
Yeah. I'm mixing the Russian names. God damn it.
So, yeah, I think you're at the desk, sifting through all the information. Maybe there's like a half-open messenger, I don't know what's it called, bottle or something. And it's when the door opens with a swish and Yuri comes in, smoking a cigar, very like stereotypical. And he's rubbing his belly and he says, "So, who do we have here? If it isn't, well, I forgot your name, child."
Yeah, and I think probably Natalia like keeps her back towards him, not showing her face, and probably like holding like a paper. And I think, yeah, my intent is the same. and I think it's a good place to
start the conflict.
To say what the intentions are, and then we can say like what exactly we're doing.
So I think let me look at my stats to pick the best. Yeah, I want Natalia to listen to not run away, to listen to what Yuri is saying.
Mm-hmm.
And when he succeeds, then you would at least hear his side of the story, and that could be like the next scene, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're convincing to convince her to stay, and I think okay, so I think. Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to also relate this to the praxis, how this is going to work, because I need to like what I'm doing is not really relating to any of the 4 things. I think Natalia.
Let's say you find something and maybe you want to get away with it. Just flee.
I'm not gonna get away. Well, that's your conflict. So I think I'm gonna just say that Natalia is like taking the paper that is on the top of the like the pile, and like takes it into her pocket or something. I think trying to I'm gonna actually say I'm gonna try to use confuse here, like to try to like and she says, oh, you know my name. I know you like to come listen to my announcements.
You got me there, Natalia. You do have a sweet voice.
Yeah, and I'm trying to use confuse.
And your intent is to hide the fact that you have the thing.
Yeah, I think actually my intent is to take. Yeah, that's my intention, to hide that I have the information that I need.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'm using confuse as well. I want to confuse you with sweet lies.
And you're actually slightly competent at confusion, which I'm not. So that's good. Okay, so I'm gonna roll over 7. No, over what? Which? Wait. Yes, over 7.
And I'm spending 4 credits to hit.
Yeah, I still have my 3, and I think I'm gonna use. I don't actually care about getting away. I think I can listen to you. And I only have 3 dice, and I have slim chances. So I'm just going to use all my dice on trying to succeed here. I mean, it's a slim chance. Let's see, yellow. And 1 more d10.
I got a question real quick. You said you had to roll over a 7 for confused. Wouldn't you have to roll like under a 3 for confused? Isn't that how that works?
Wait a second.
For Natalia?
I'm just gonna have to look at my character sheet here. So I have 7 in convince.
I was looking that's under Yuri, isn't it?
Oh right,
well,
yes. You're
okay.
Totally right. I'm gonna have to roll under a 3. So I'm gonna maybe do that now. Let's see. And then re-roll these 2. Oh no. Well, I rolled a 2. So let's see your d4s here.
So do I have to split them 3-1, or can I go in?
You can split whichever way you want, but you have to use at least 1 d10 on your own conflict.
I'll do one 10 and 3.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a 4, and I didn't roll over.
Oh my
3.
god. Yes. Yes.
So you tell me what happened.
Yeah, you definitely got me to. I failed my conflict. I didn't get to take it away because I got a 6 because you added your d4 to my 2, and you got a 2, and you were supposed to roll
over a 3, I think. My convinced 7, so my confused 3.
Yes. No, yeah, you're supposed to roll over a 7. Wasn't that it? Because you were trying to confuse.
Yeah, I'm trying to confuse.
Wait a second. That's the other way around. You're supposed to roll under a 7.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, you did it.
I did roll under a 7.
Yes, everything you wanted happened.
Right.
So yeah, how does this look like? How because you're in control here pretty much.
Yeah, so I think Natalia is still turned away from Yuri, trying to hide to put the paper or probably it's some kind of transparent foil or something in her overall pockets, and so he approaches from behind with cunning speed that you wouldn't assume for such a big person. He grabs the paper and he says, "Now, Natalia, I do admire you. You know, you you see at the world with these fresh, bright, pretty eyes, completely, unaffected by the hard truth. You're still fighting for the truth and for freedom and for everything. But you have to look at my side of things. What will happen if actually the truth comes out? Chaos would happen, and the weak will hold us all back, and the strong who steer the ship, they will lose, and when they lose, we all lose." That's what he's saying.
I think you see like Natalia like stiffening up as Yuri surprises her a little, and I think she says, "But it's a lie," and I think that's maybe seen.
Yeah.
Cool. So we switch to
nobody of the spectators wanted Natalia to win. What kind of monsters are you?
Well, I was thinking about maybe throwing in a dice, but it kind of moved along, so I was just like, I just held off on saying anything.
Also, what happens now is that I lost the conflict. I also get a new feature, and I think that feature is going to be a destiny. I think it's gonna be like that's also something you're supposed to add. I didn't understand at first, but you can add like for a feature. I think I'm gonna think about it and say it for the next scene, but I'm gonna add a feature.
So does that mean 6-8 has an extra feature for this scene? Because she failed.
Did you fail? Yeah. You also have extra feature.
And what do you mean by a destiny? Like what she's meant to do? Like
I think like what was it? I saw it here somewhere. Before finding the answer, I thank you for your patience. This game is I'm fumbling more than usual in this game. So yeah, the new feature here that they added here, for example, was "My love is deep and pure." Like it could be something not so concrete, and I think actually that my feature that I'm going to play to is the hundreds lies are venom, or something like that. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter that much. It's just a flavor thing.
Yeah.
So you don't get extra dice for your features?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
But like the exact wording or whatever it is doesn't really matter that much.
Oh, okay, I got you.
What would I want for my new feature? Don't know, something about her daughter. All right, so I'm going to write in here hopes for a better future. Maybe not.
You could also, if I'm just throwing this out there, but also if you think about that last scene, you now have a little bit of backup from the bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's nice. If you wanted to.
Oops, wrong box. Shoot. Try this again. So, feature would be, or would that, yeah, okay, so I'm just going to use that language. Drawing a blank on prettier words. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I happened to have the PDF rules up. That this result sucks section. That actually is pretty interesting. Do you see that part? It's right after the part where it talks about making new features, where the protagonist can reroll fails.
Yeah, right. You can actually. That's true. I forgot about that. I also wrote it in my rule summary that I haven't looked at. So, what you also can do when you fail is that you can use your links to start a new conflict with the same intent as before. But you also the time cannot pass, but it's the same conflict. But you can lose if you lose the conflict, the link will be permanently transformed in a way. So you have to like put the relation you have at risk somehow, I guess.
Oh, that would be perfect. Would have been perfect for the last conflict we have. That Sergey would come in and overhear it.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, thanks for reminding me there. But it's a good one.
Okay. 6-8. What are you doing?
So 6-8 is racing through the crowd, trying to catch up with this guy who's going to rat her out. I mean, I imagine if we're amongst the kind of underclass, I mean, it's just thick with overworked, tired, dirty people, and she's just bumping through all of these people. You know, maybe grabbing somebody, thinking it's him, finding out it's not, and just tearing through this crowd. That's what a 6-8 is up to.
So 6-8's running through the crowd, and I imagine like this sector is like chock full of like these maintenance workers. There's a lot of, you know, maintenance workers in this section. Maybe it's so close to like the engine core of the ship. So there's a lot of these maintenance workers here. So yeah, you go running through, and you happen to run into somebody, and they turn around, and you recognize this person. It is Tenarta. It's the leader of the workers union. And she looks at you, and she kind of like pulls, like perhaps you're wearing like your work jumpsuit, and it's got your number designation on the chest, and she's like, "So, 001268, huh? Where do you seem to be going in such a rush?"
I'm just trying to find this guy, and so she's still looking. Look, I'm not on shift right now. I'm sorry, I gotta go. And she tries to tear away.
Yeah, but she does. Yeah, but yeah, Tanarta's got a good hold on your jumpsuit. Like, hold on, even though you're not on shift, you should still follow the safety regulations. You realize how dangerous it is running through these streets? You get injured.
Yeah, you're right. I gotta go.
Look.
I think this might be the conflict.
Yeah, this is the conflict.
Yeah.
So she wants to hold on to you to try to figure out what the heck's going on.
I'm trying to figure out a way to make this it's not mutually exclusive because I clearly want to get away.
I mean, I think like you could also say that. I mean, the core of the essence of the intent of the knot is to know what's going on, right?
Yeah, that'll be the intent. Not really to hold you, but to know what you're chasing.
Okay. And my intent is just to get away from Tanata. So
okay.
Yeah. And now what would I roll to do that?
So you would roll 4 total, I think? Or is it 5 now?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which. It doesn't really matter since I made my praxis the same.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, fictionally though, it might be. It would be nice to have access to the things I'm good at, but I'm not so sure I have that right now.
I could see you using defense.
Yeah, I actually am. I'm gonna try to convince Tanata that I've heard her. I agree with her. I'm going to be safe from here on out, and I'll see her at my next shift. So that's my intent is to convince her that I've heard her, and I agree.
Mm-hmm. And Tanata's going to risk 3. And she's using reason. Like, look, you need to listen to me. I know what's best for you. So I will roll. I'll roll 1 to hinder and 2 to succeed on my intent.
Yeah, and you have 5 dice. Now 4 dice, now 6, 8.
I think I'll roll 2 and 2 then. Why not? All right. So I was trying to get over 4, and I did.
Right, but I rolled a 4 on the hinder, which would put you at 2.
Yes, it would.
And I was trying to roll under 7, which I did, but you're going to add 3, which would make me fail.
Yeah.
So does that mean we both failed our intents? How does that work out?
Yeah. You can re-roll with the relationship thing, though, if you wanted to.
Yeah, why not? Let's see. So would that re-roll both of them or one of them?
You re-roll all of them, all your dice.
Yeah.
And say what link you're putting at risk.
Okay. So does that affect me hindering having to tell you then?
Yeah, because I think you're re-rolling all the dice,
Gotcha.
not just your. Intent dice.
Yeah. Okay. So I think. I don't think I'm going to then. I kind of like that we both fail.
So yeah, like I imagine that like you don't get away, but at the same time, you're not telling Tanarka or Tanarto, exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're still convinced that I'm a reckless idiot running through this crowd,
right? But at the same time, you don't get to catch up with the guy that's going to tell on you. Okay.
Yeah. Or at least I don't get away. Yeah.
Yes, I would guess that scene right there.
Yeah. And now we are yes, because you used 4 as well last time, didn't you, Yuri?
Yeah.
So you have 4 credits left, and you have 5.
Right.
So that means that we are both in our last scene where the goal is on the line. So what it said something here that was smart. With let's see, you can either phrase it. It can be phrased negatively or positively by either antagonist. But there must be only one result that yields a positive result to the story goal. Okay, I don't understand this. Just give me a second. There's so many weirdly phrased things in this book. But let's see. Okay, so so where are we now first? What am I doing? Let's see. Because you I think we're still because I was going to stay to listen, right?
Yeah.
So where are you taking me?
I think I'm taking you to the place where the like behind the big safe door, where the news is produced, and you see the different sectors and factions that are so-called opposite each other, just working in the same room and talking to each other, exchanging, what do you say about one topic? Then I say the opposite. And maybe it's on a what's it called, like a gangway or something high above, and you see down below the people frantically writing things and putting into these pipes. And he's still Yuri is still talking about keeping the equilibrium, steering the ship in the right direction.
Yeah, I think Natalia listens to Yuri talk, and she says, I have listened to this before. I understand that there is a merit to order, but this isn't what I've read about in the founding documents of the 100. This is not what.
Yeah. One question before we go on with the scene. So this the central conflict related to the core issue. The core issue is truth and lies, like maybe useful lies or painful truth or something.
Yeah, I mean the thing on the line here is the story goal of Natalia. So start a movement of people that care about the truth.
So maybe you want to, I don't know, like spread the truth, like try to infiltrate the machinery to send that one message, everything is a lie or something?
I have a goal. I have a
Okay.
way in mind. I'm getting to it. I think Natalia. I think actually Natalia is trying to convince Yuri that her argument has some merit. Like, and what it's meant by it could be like a negative or positive phrase thing. That means that it can either be, I can either phrase it as that I can only succeed by failing this challenge, or I can aim to succeed by succeeding. If you understand what I mean, that's what it meant. It's meant by, but never mind that. That's just confusing. So I think I'm just gonna say that Natalia wants to try to convince Yuri that there is a way to continue to have this order without lying all the time. I mean, starting with small truths.
Okay. So his goal is for you to let me see. So you want him to believe that that there still can be order, but we are truthful towards each other. So that can.
I think like, because I think what I was trying to aim for, like with my dialogue here, is that and I think like Natalia says that yes, I understand that there is a reason that the 100 exists. There must be some people to that the smartest people, the most capable people, they must be in the positions that they need to be. But these lies are not a part of it. And you have all and you, as one of the, I mean, you're a person who's lived for one of these people, right? And you have forgotten why you are in this position.
Yeah,
and that's what Natalia is trying to convince Yuri of.
And Yuri wants to persuade her to really difficult. I mean, like you're already agreeing upon that the class divide is like a good thing, or like a necessary evil, right? Because if you would aim for the truth, then I could aim for class divide.
I mean, I think I am open to your success being that. I think what Natalia is saying that is that anyone should, I don't know, this the mortality thing is a little complicating here. I think yes, actually, I'm open for that. What matters for Natalia is that the truth is told.
Yeah, and what matters for him is, well, that can be the truth if the system of the 100 and the rest is still in place.
Okay, yeah, I'm willing to. Oh, it's a harsh bargain.
So what he's saying is, truth or lies, if we find a way to have a ship going, if we have a way to get to the destination, the truth could be useful, but I'm not spreading the truth if it prevents us reaching our goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Cool. So, do the audience think we have clear enough intents?
So, I don't see how the intents are too different. If Natalia wants the truth out, but at the same time Yuri doesn't care if the truth's out, as long as the class divide stays the same.
That's true. Like, he wouldn't say that. He wouldn't say the truth don't hurt. He would say, in order to get the ship, we need to prevent revolution, because if the truth gets out there, hell will break loose.
Yeah. So what I think is different from, like, the difference between the outcomes is that, I mean, of course, if the truth get out, things will change in accordance to, like, who gets to be in the positions, I guess. But you're saying that we still need the divide. But it's,
yeah, I would just, like, this is the last scene, right, for the antagonist and protagonist. I don't know. I'm just looking for something, like, with a little more bite, like, maybe Yuri's just trying to totally discredit Natalia, to where nobody will believe what she says, even if she's saying the truth,
Yeah, sure.
And another reason is, like, the class divide's another issue that will be touched on by 6-8 as well.
Yeah. I don't think that's Natalia's conflict. That's also why I'm like, I don't care about that. But I'm fine. I'm fine with. I like your point there. It would be good, like something like, for me, for Natalia, my intent is that the truth needs to get out. Like, what she has learned needs to be available for everyone.
So, anyone has a suggestion what the goal for Yuri could be, that he could achieve while the truth would also get out? So I think Pet, your suggestion was to make her unbelievable, like untrustworthy.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a suggestion, or just some way to make, make it seem like, the actual truth. Maybe it's like a confusion thing, like, people don't know what to believe, in a way.
Yeah, and I think I like that too, because I mean, the way that I understand the problem of living in a post-truth world is that truth lies, it doesn't matter. Like, as long as you accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're not after lying to people, you're not after telling the truth to them, you're just after getting what you want.
Yeah.
So even if she managed to get the truth out, if your intent was to make sure that, there was an alternative story or alternative view that was the one that was accepted, and that you maintained your power, or whatever the intent is.
Yeah, I'd like that as a point, because it's important to also keep in mind that if I fail and you succeed, it's still an outcome. So, that the structure maintains power would be like a good one. Like, because I think it's important for it to be like that the truth actually comes out, and people can see that it's the truth, but they still follow. They can still follow the system, right?
So like, the intent may be to maintain order, or maintain the status quo, or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was after in the beginning. Exactly.
Okay.
Maintain order, whether the truth comes out or not.
Okay. So maybe you can touch on Natalia's in saying, her intent is for the truth to be known and for it to cause something, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Natalia's goal is the truth goes out, and then the revolution starts.
Right.
And
okay.
His goal is we keep the lies so that
Gotcha. Okay.
And the revolution part is not a part of my intent. So, yet, I mean, I don't know. I think she just believes that it will happen by itself, because that's the kind of person she is.
Okay.
If people knew the truth, of course they would rebel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I'm gonna... Yeah, so I think I'm gonna use 3 dice for... I'm gonna definitely use reason here. And so that means I'm gonna try to roll under 7. And then I'm gonna use one of the dice to try to hinder Yuri to uphold the system.
Yeah, I'm. Yuri's using convince, so he has to roll under 7 as well.
Yeah, and you also have 4 dice.
Yeah.
Good. And how many do you use on each?
The order thing, I want to use all of them.
Okay. So I just have to roll under 7 to get the truth out. Come on, the truth. I believe. Okay, let's see. And then these 3. Oh, right. That was wrong. Just a sec. I'm just gonna re-roll the 3 ones because I was not going to do it like that. I was going to use 1 to hinder as well. So, okay. And what did you roll?
Yeah, I haven't rolled yet. Let's see. So first, my D10, which is a 1. So I rolled under 7.
Mm-hmm.
Order is maintained.
Yeah.
And then, let's see. 44. And I got a 4. Does that change anything?
No, I get a... Yeah, well, I got a 7 then. Let's see. Then we got the escalation, don't we? Yes, we do. Yeah.
I rolled an audience die for Natalia.
What is the truth that you're adding to the world?
So the truth that I'm adding to the world is that like there's always been rumors about the 100, and that they've always been plotting to keep you know, just the core 100 people living forever, and that the lottery doesn't go nowhere. And in fact, there's like a children's rhyme that's like said around the sectors that says that, you know, the 100 don't ever let nobody, you know, you can never be a part of the 100 is like what the nursery rhyme goes.
Mm-hmm. Cool. You can roll a d4.
I did. I got a 3.
Yeah. So yeah, that gets me at 4 then. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna describe like first how the truth gets out, and you can describe a little bit about. I mean, let's make it just finish the scene and let's make an epilogue afterwards instead. So I think Natalia is you see Natalia and Yuri probably like shaking hands, and Natalia is saying, "Well, you drive a hard bargain, but I'm sure that if they know the truth, they will understand to do the right thing."
And Yuri says, you know, from now on, you will, with your sweet, sweet voice, only tell the truth. And you will see that the people are frightened and tired of the truth. They want to go to sleep at night. They don't want to think too much.
Yeah, and Natalia squints at that, and I think that's seen. Cool. So for our last scene,
do we like hard frame this, or do we like just go with it like we were before? Like, what is 6A doing? Is that?
I mean, if you want, I'd like to say that it's maybe if you feel like you need it to have like a chat about how this is going to look, then do it, and then do like what you're doing, I guess. I don't know if you feel do you feel sure about where this is going at this point, Ryan?
Well, I mean, it feels to me like it's going bad. I mean, I don't know as the protagonist if I'm supposed to advocate for a sort of. I mean, so I can tell you where I thought it might be going. I mean, it feels to me like 6/8's getting in trouble. But I wanted to have 6/8 appeal to her boss to make sure her kid doesn't fall into the system. I mean, since her goal the whole time was to have a better future for her daughter, I think at this point she's given up trying to save herself, and in this particular situation. And so she's going to appeal to her boss here to take care of her kid in some way. That's where I imagined it going.
Okay, so the intent is to have your daughter not follow in your footsteps, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, the intent going into the game was to get her out of the underclass, but I think at this point it's just to make sure she doesn't become like a ward of the state or something like that. Because I'm clearly getting popped here. So.
Okay, and I think the intent of Tanarta is to make an example of 6/8. As far as going against the system.
Yeah, I like that. So now we can hard frame the scene, I guess.
Right. So I like to imagine that this is perhaps in 6/8's residence. And Tanarta is showing up with the fuzz to arrest you.
1/1. How does 1/1 look? Because she's there, right? Or is she?
Well, I think it might be difficult to convince 1/1 to take. What did I name the daughter? Too many numbers. 9/8. It might be difficult to convince 1/1 to take 9/8 if the cops are there in the room.
I totally mixed up. Sorry, I mixed up the numbers. I was thinking about your daughter.
But if the scene is the cops coming to kind of arrest, if they're not there yet, then for sure 6/8's there and 9/8's there. I don't know, maybe even 1/1 is there as well, and this is kind of 6/8's begging 1/1 to take 9/8 before the cops get there.
Right. To bring it more into conflict with Tanarta, who's the antagonist, I would imagine that maybe 1/1 is saying, "Look, I'll talk to Tanarta about your daughter." Maybe 1/1 beat the cops there because they found out that the cops were coming for you and decided to come and give you the heads up, and they told you that, and perhaps 1/1 convinced Tanarta to speak with you one-on-one before the cops came in and did their thing. So that's where the scene starts.
So 6/8 trying to convince Tanarta to let her daughter go.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, so it'd be so Tanarta would be like, so 6/8, are you sure you understand the charges?
Look, I do whatever you want. Just 1/1 said you were gonna help my daughter out. So yeah, I understand. Just whatever you have to do.
Right. And what would you expect of me with your daughter?
Make sure that she does not get taken into the system. She's not getting raised in one of those houses with those kids who don't have parents.
Okay. We could probably do that. But you're going to set a lesson for everybody else out there with daughters as well. Your punishment will be public, and your daughter will see it.
Why?
Because it's important for everybody to know what their place is.
I don't want my daughter to see that.
and so enters the conflict we're in.
So do I have 5 dice to roll now since I failed last time 2?
I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. And I have 5 dice as well.
So the intent here is I'm getting my daughter safe and you're making an example, correct?
Right. Right.
Okay.
So I'm going to roll 4 for making an example and only 1 against you getting what you want for your daughter.
I guess I'm... Well, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to roll convince here. So
Yeah.
I'm going to do... Let's do...
And I'm also rolling reason, by the way, before I roll my 10s.
I'm going to do 3 to get what I want and 2 to block here. Oh, that's a D12. Let's get rid of those. Try this again. Okay. Ugh. So my highest D10 was a 6, which it looks like I fail again.
I think Amma's audience is going to give you a helping die here, and I think like what it looks in like in the fiction is that I think like there is a program that the unions have, which it's like some kind of like it's really more meaningful than a lottery for most people. It's like a program where you can. Where people who die in work accidents, they have like a insurance for the child where they get to be like named and brought up by a different family in the union, like some kind of like foster program. Yeah, and I'm gonna roll a d4. Because I don't want to see that. And I rolled a 4. So I don't know if that's good. That's probably good, right?
Yeah.
I think you just needed a 4 or above, right? So.
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. So 9-8 gets to go to foster care.
Mm-hmm.
And then my highest, I rolled a 4 for the highest D4.
Yeah, that makes me fail my public punishment of you. So you don't get that either.
Cool.
Just private punishment.
Right. Just private punishment. So yeah, I imagine like how this plays out. Like perhaps Tanarta sees 9-8 and like something like softens in her heart, like, okay, maybe it won't be right for a little girl to see the punishment of her mother. But yeah, and she just kind of like nods over to 1-1 to go ahead and take the girl and let you have your moment to say goodbye before the fuzz step in to take you away.
Yeah, and I think I imagine the 1-1's been to the house before. Maybe even though there's this stratified kind of society, there is still some sort of friendship between 1-1 and 6-8. And so 9-8 knows 1-1 on. And so 6-8 kind of gets down on one knee. So she's looking at 9-8 in the eyes. And she says, look, mommy's got to go away for a little while. But you're going to stay with 1-1 for now. And I'll talk to you when I can.
Yeah,
and
I
then
think
starts crying maybe and can't say anymore.
Yeah, I think 1-1 like gets down on her knee and like probably like after like a while and while you're probably like hugging or something with 9-8, and I think she like pops like her head and like, hey 9-8, what the name do you want? And I think like she looks over to you 6-8.
And 6-8 looks to so they're in 6-8's home and it's very modest. But there's a vase on the table, very small, slender vase, and with a single lily in it. And so she looks back to 9-8 and she says, you always like lilies. You always were my little lily. And kind of starts crying again as she hugs her.
Yeah, and I think that maybe is scene. Ah, man, that was so good.
Beautiful.
Oof. Yeah.
Rough.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. Yeah, thanks for that. That was intense scene.
Yeah, it was.
Cool. I think I don't really have the need for epilogue after all. I'm fine to leave it.
I think that was a perfect last scene, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't top that. So thanks. Okay, guys, we played Shock. Thanks for playing and bringing it and having patience with my slight confusion of some of the rules.
It looks like it was a complicated game, so thanks for the patience with us too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in my opinion, I think this is a game like I've heard about this game, and this was like one of the first like indie story games that I actually purchased, and like I read it and I was like, okay, I'm not ready to run this or try to even run this, and I thank you for running it so I can kind of see how it works out, because I couldn't grok it just reading through it. I was so lost.
Yeah, it's I definitely have like the same thing. I think I understand it more or less, but there is some things that are actually just not clear. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the game, even if there is some things I don't really like about the system. It really does some of the things it says it does what it says it does, and I think like there's some things it could have done different in a more like easy way, like for example with the praxis and stuff, which I think is super confusing.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think we got a good game out of it, so I'm happy with that.
Right. Yeah, there's praxis, like that's just it's super confusing the way the mechanics work out for conflict resolution. It seemed like it'd be so much easier to, have opposing agendas between the antagonists and protagonists and just end it at that.
Yeah,
I mean, in theory, I like that that they can both fail and both succeed. That is not a bad mechanic in itself. Like
right.
The game I was thinking about was Ghost Echo, which has the same thing. But it does, I don't know, like there's so much meta talk around the scene that you really have to fight to get to the scene, and I don't think it's for me. Like, I really like role playing, and if the meta talk is more than the rest, then it's probably not for me.
Yeah,
And I did enjoy the game. That's not the thing. I think we made a good play out of it.
yeah, yeah. I agree. This is also probably not something I would play again, but I'm very happy that I got to play it because it's such like a important game in like story game history. And there's also some really good things in it, but it's just too complicated for me. And I agree with that. It's also made it very much. We needed to talk a lot about what's going on and used a lot of time on the intent stuff. Maybe before we had to, because I don't know, it's difficult.
Right.
Maybe if like a lot of these games, if you have played it a couple of times, then it gets more natural, and you don't spend so much time on the meta level.
Yeah, it's true, but it's a story game, so I think it's, for me at least, one of the things that it's very important for a story game to be good the first time you play it, because a lot of the times you don't play it more than 3 or 4 times.
For me, like in my personal, in my taste for story games, I like games that just flow. You know, you start playing and it just flows all the way to the end. And it doesn't feel like you've been playing very long because you've been so engrossed in the story from beginning to end. This one, I just think, trying to grok the mechanics of the conflict resolution just gets in the way of that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think so too. And I know the creator, Joshua AC Newman, he's currently like making the like 2nd edition. So I'm gonna be interested to see how that is when it comes out, because I'm sure he's also learned some things after 10 years.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, I super like the concept. Like that's really pretty awesome, and I really like the world we made. Like that worked really well, the character creation part and that stuff. Super interesting, I think.
Right.
But yeah, the scenes were a little complicated.
All right. Well, I hate to cut it short, but I actually got to run. I appreciate it, Mikhail, running the game. Horst and Ryan, happy to meet you and finally get to play a game with you. And yeah, it was fun. Hopefully we could do it again in the future.
Yeah.
Good to meet you, Pat.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.